Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the early morning or late evening Orania live stream. It's an early winter morning here in Orania. If you're watching from the USA, it's probably later in the evening. But me and US got up early today to speak with our international friends. So you're very welcome to this live stream as well.
Frans, thank you. It's a privilege always to have the opportunity to share the Orania message. Now, sometimes we have to work a little bit harder and get up a little bit earlier, but we've got some loyal fans over there at the United States and a lot of interest, I must say, on this live stream. So thank you for everyone who reached out, sending messages saying they're tuning in and so on. It really gives us the energy to wake up to that early morning alarm.
That makes me curious though to see where you guys are watching from. But beforehand, I just want to give a special shout out to World Paper Money Club and KJV Baptist, our newest YouTube members. They joined this morning with this live stream. So our YouTube has 3 membership tiers and both of them joined today. So very, very welcome to you guys. And then also a special thank you to KJV Baptist who sent us 15 Australian dollars saying he may miss the show due to work, but he's here just in case. God bless you guys. Thank you for that. But I see that you have been talking in the comments already, so maybe you're thinking of skipping work this morning. And then I see here that a few people are already saying they were tuning in from Virginia, from Idaho, from Louisiana. So welcome to you guys as well.
Yeah, I do know that, that's that Protestant work ethic, going to work. I would have chosen just watching the Orania live stream. It's a lot better than going to work. But thank you to our fans there down under as well. It's a bit different time zone than the friends in the United States, but we do appreciate you guys as well. And I know some special friends of Orania tuning in from Texas, and I do also know that they are watching this. Thank you guys also not only for tuning in, but for your continuous support to the Orania project, as well as someone from Canada that I know is also tuning in. So thank you guys. Rest of you, if you're watching, let us know in the comments section where you are watching from, so that we can get a bit of an idea. Frans, you must help me right here if I'm wrong, but this is kind of an experiment.
Yes.
This is a bit of an experiment. We need to see, is this worth our while to get up this early if there are enough people in time zones such as Eastern United States, Western United States, that's actually wanting to tune in. Normally our shows are late at night South African time, or actually early night South African time. But this one specifically for the American supporters of Orania who wants to learn more, wants to know. So let us know, guys. Is this a suitable time for you? We probably can get up even earlier, but then the show will be less frequent, I suppose.
Yeah, this is what we like to do, right? This is what we want to do. This is sharing the message of Orania, what we are doing here, why we are doing what we are doing. And this is also a big piece of the goal or the reason why the Orania movement, why this company exists. So primarily we are communicating to Afrikaners because we want more people to move to Orania, more people to settle here, more people to create jobs and create a future for our people. But then obviously it's very, very much, it's so important for us to have these sessions, these talks to our international friends, get international, to a certain extent, recognition for our people here in Orania. And then it's interesting for me to see, because with all of these YouTube applications, Facebook, social media, we have the analytics of where our people are, where our supporters are joining in from. And most of the time, well, the biggest demographic, of course, would be Afrikaners in South Africa. Most of our content is in Afrikaans as well. But then I think just below that, it's the USA, which kind of makes it difficult time-wise to find a good time. So like you said, please let us know when would be the best time for you guys. Is this a good fit? Are you preferring rather weekends? We can do that as well. I think it's the 22nd still there in America. For us right now, it's the 23rd already. So just some things to keep in mind.
Yeah, well, Frans, I once saw a picture, a meme on the internet with this kind of blue-haired liberal saying that starting the revolution is tough because you have to get up early. And in this case, starting the own labor and building your own future revolution is tough because it's hard to sync up with our friends in the United States. But thank you guys for tuning in. We do appreciate it.
I see some Afrikaans comments as well. So thank you for the Afrikaners waking up early this morning. I see we have friends from New Jersey, watching from California, watching from Florida, so all over the USA. Good morning from Pretoria, South Africa. Welcome. Watching from Vancouver, lots of hearts. Thank you guys. Thank you for tuning in. We will get on with the presentation and the main theme of our discussion just a little bit. I'm just going to give some more people time to join in. But we are seeing you in the comment section.
Well, Frans, I do think there might be two groups of Afrikaners watching. Those in Pretoria and elsewhere tuning in because they're getting ready for work, getting ready for the traffic and so on. Our hearts goes out to you guys. As well as maybe some leftover Afrikaners still in Oklahoma City after Driekus du Plessis put up quite a performance there in the UFC. And I know there are still some Boertjies out there, so to you guys, any guy from South Africa, any supporter, maybe some people from Orania, people get up and get going early here as well. And then, Frans, I do want to use the opportunity to just give a shout out to our technical guys as well, Rian as well as Willem. They also got up early, sitting there next to us and standing next to us with a warm cup of coffee as well, and making sure everything runs smoothly. So if you can see us, if you can hear us, it's not our fault. It's the crew that's making sure these things are happening. So thanks to those guys as well.
On that note, though, if you experience any technical difficulties, if there's a problem with the sound or anything like that, we won't know it from our side. So please spam the comments. Let us know if the sound is not good, if you can't hear properly or not see properly. But yeah, special thank you to our technical team behind the screens. Yes, you have prepared a theme for discussion this morning. So what are we talking about?
Frans, so one of the most frequent questions that we get, actually specifically in regards to kind of the macro thing around Orania, is how do I start my own Orania? The times that we are in, the kind of the way things have developed internationally begs the question: was Professor Karel Boshoff, Dr. Chris Jooste, and those crazy Afrikaners who moved into the desert 30 plus years ago when no one saw it necessary, were they right? And is this model something that Orania can export to the rest of the world? Well, I think yes and no, but we're going to discuss that. I think everyone needs to fine tune and find their own version of Orania. But I want to take it a bit more broad. I want to take it a bit more focused on freedom in general. And I want to use Orania only as an example. Some of the things that we have achieved. Remember, we've been at this 35 plus years. People sacrificing. Just last night, me and you spoke to a school teacher in the early days of Orania, making it work. Big borrow still, I want to say, getting old school bags from another school who wanted to discard them, and almost smuggling them to Orania. Paid like 10 rands a piece and getting them here so that Orania kids in the so-called Volksstaat, back then the political drive was strong, getting those little school seats here for kids in Orania, the 5 kids in the class back in 1991. And that's the kind of drive that makes dreams like these possible. So I want to speak a bit about how do we crowdfund freedom.
So, Joost, I'm going to give you an opportunity to put your presentation on the screen in just a little bit. I just want to ask one of our moderators to please activate our goal as well. We do have a goal for the stream. Speaking about crowdfunding, we try to be creative with crowdfunding. We always very, very much appreciate all the forms of donations, memberships, anything from our supporters, sharing this link, sharing our message. But then we are going to also post the goal for this live stream. If we reach a certain number of donations, we will be drawing a challenge from this book of challenges, and then we might even compete in doing one of those challenges. No. So when one of our moderators put the goal up on the screen, then we can do that. We are starting out in Orania in 1991. This was an abandoned town. There was almost nothing. You were talking about the school teacher during that time. He came. We spoke to him last night, and he told a story about, at the same time, working at the school, but then also cleaning the streets. And when tourists arrive in Orania, they meet up, or they see him cleaning the streets, and they talk, and they want to take a picture of this Afrikaner guy in South Africa cleaning the streets of his own community, which is unfathomable for them. And then later that same day, they see him again, and they do not recognize him. because previously they basically only registered the overalls he was wearing. They only recognized him as a laborer and not really as the person he was. And that is kind of, I think that sums up the crux of Orania's own labor policy and why it needs to exist. The type of distinction that people make, especially in South Africa, but it is a trending theme in the West as well, where there's this subclass of laborers and then I would almost say, let's say, white-collar workers.
It's fatal, Frans. It's fatal. And this is a warning to the West. In regards to the South African nation of the West, there's a few things driving it, including political decisions, politicians selling you out, but also on the corporate side of things, the cheapest possible labor is a death sentence to your culture. Listen from people here in South Africa who have learned that lesson, who almost saw our culture going under, losing many things that our parents and grandparents built because of the labor thing. We have an indication there from our moderators, Frans. You just tune into that. So the thing about labor, the thing about labor is that it can be fatal. If you use the cheapest possible labor, your culture might die because revenue and cultural survival is not necessarily the same thing. I want to speak about that in a moment. But as I said, the theme for tonight is actually crowdfunding freedom. How do we build freedom, Frans? And that's going to be the presentation. I want to ask our guys to put the presentation on the screen so that we can start with that. Are we good? Are we on? Good. Right, as I said, crowdfunding freedom, how Orania builds what lasts. Frans, first slide I want to go into is everything worthwhile. I use the word worthwhile here, but I want to actually say everything that we know of, that we understand, that we fundamentally defines our living spaces is crowdfunded. And I want to start with states, the military, the police, highways. Those are not things that's paid by small percentage. Those are not things that's paid by one or two people. No one person back in the 1800s or the 1900s built a train, a track from Cape to Cairo or through the United States or whatever. That's crowdfunded. War, inherently. For our American friends, the efforts currently in Iran, it's crowdfunded. It's taxpayer money. The police is crowdfunded. Space travel is crowdfunded. We look at businesses. I split it up in my thoughts when I was preparing this, saying, if you have a small business, your sales, your revenue is crowdfunded. It's not a single person that drives a business. As well as loans. You get a loan from the bank to start a small business. That is crowdfunded because it's deposits of everyone else. If you have a big business, you have investors. That's crowdfunding it. Then banks. Every time you swipe your credit card, in South Africa, I think it's 2.5% of every transaction goes to the cities, goes to the banks, goes to those people, and the banks crowdfund their own existence. It's not one or two people with massive deposits that keeps a bank going. It is continuous transactions, continuous deposits. If you look at infrastructure around the world, I put here government building, but if you look at infrastructure, whether that's private infrastructure or public infrastructure, those are crowdfunded. All right. Religious institutions, your local church, the church, the Christian church has got a long history of uplifting people around the world. It's crowdfunded, tithing and so on. Cities are not built by a single person, whether it's Romus and Remulus back in the Roman days, starting the city there and the efforts shared, it's crowdfunded in that sense. Even these days, I want to say things like social media, your music streaming service, paying Spotify, YouTube Music or Apple Music, paying X, and so on. On the one hand, the financial side of things, that's crowdfunded, but also the information on social media is a crowdfunded effort, as is Wikipedia, as is many, many other things. Everything everything, if you look around you, everything is crowdfunded. Nothing is done by a single person. To be honest, and I put that on the slide, civilization itself is a continuous crowdfunding campaign. The question is not whether things are crowdfunded or not. In this case, is it compulsory or voluntarily? Post World War I, the rise of income taxes, we know very well the choice in paying income taxes has declined significantly in the past 100 years. and it's not voluntary anymore. You have to you have to crowdfund. On the other hand, who's making the decisions, France, on what you're crowdfunding? If you look at your salary check, the amount of money that you are forced to spend on certain things, crowdfunding other people, whether that's those those 2.5% transaction fees at banks, whether that's the cost of cash loans and so on, whether that is taxes, company taxes, income taxes, whatever. Crowdfunding is a reality.
Yes,
Who decides?
Let me quickly interrupt you there. I just want to say thank you to SPPJ and Qatar13 for those super chats. We are going to do a Q&A after the presentation, and those two questions will be answered first, but I'm making note of that, so thank you very much for that.
Looking forward to hear those. Thank you, guys. Thank you for doing that. Continuing on, crowdfunding. Finally, are the contributors rewarded directly, indirectly, or not at all? So if we look back at kind of World War I, the rise of income tax, all these things, how much are you represented in the things that you are crowdfunding? How much of your decision-making power is following your money? And whether they realize that practically or not, somehow the founders of Orania knew something about that. They knew that they can pay taxes and they can vote, but those two things are not necessarily impacting society. And they thought that something more important is actually necessary, but exiting is never enough. You have to build. You have to build something new. So the founders of Orania knew that, well, I can continue paying tax and I can continue voting. Doesn't mean I'm going to be safe from a farm attack, for example. Doesn't mean my children will have a future where they can study in Afrikaans, for example. Okay. So how are you rewarded? And now I want to come to the point, crowdfunding freedom. Afrikaners, specifically, I do believe, gets very little back from the systems we fund. We fund it continuously. Afrikaners are some of the most active taxpayers in this country, a very small amount of people. I don't know if our international viewers know this. Something like 55%, more than half of the population in South Africa is on some kind of social help program from the government. France, that is insane.
These are statistics also, just for context. South Africa is a country with about 60 million, 65 million people in South Africa.
That we know of.
Documented. And then there are about 2 to 2.5 million Afrikaners in South Africa. So, okay, I'm not going to try to make a percentage, quick maths right now, but it's a very, very small minority. So of that 65 million, you just said 55%.
I think it's something like, I know the president of South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa, I want to say bragged to the international community, and he said, listen, we can now say we're the only country in Africa that's got like more than 50% of people on social welfare programs. And I just think that is like charging with a train into a cliff and bragging about it. It's incomprehensible.
It's because we would like that number to decrease actually, but it seems like the government we are in want that number to increase, more people on social welfare. But yeah, exactly like you said,
France. So the one option is to whine, to say, oh, this is so horrible. Things are going downhill. We don't know what to do. We are paying taxes. This is so unfair. We are going to, I don't know, have a Boston Tea Party or something. This, and people get angrier and angrier, and they feel unrepresented. But these systems these days don't let you escape easily. So the one option is to whine. Whining will not bring us very far. Not in Africa. It's not an easy continent. But I want to say that sentiment goes to our international friends as well. If we want to build something lasting, we must consolidate and we must crowdfund freedom. That's how Orania views it. We know we're going to have to pay those taxes. We know we're going to have to pay, all those transaction fees and cost of cash and all those things. That's a fact. We cannot get around that fact. So we can try and, have all these issues with the system, or we can slowly start building something new. Slowly start building something new. How do Orania actually crowdfund freedom? I want to break it down in 3 aspects, France. First is investment. The second one is the local economic value and taxes and how we allocate those. And the third one of our strategy is the donations and contributions strategy. So those are kind of the three things that we use to stimulate our economy and develop. The 3 things that we use to crowdfund our freedom. Right. So first is investment. So capital, I wrote here, capital becomes durable in that community capacity. So circulating capital in a manner, in a way that will significantly increase our output as a community and grow our economy. First one is housing. So Frans, I don't know if some of our guys have been following the Orania project for a while. We made a decision back, I don't know, post 2010. Some of the guys involved is the early involvements of what's now the Orania Development Company, our friends at Solidarity Movement, and so on. And we understood that one of the big problems with the Afrikaner situation is that we are a minority everywhere in this big country. We are a minority. We can become a majority in Orania. For that, we need housing here in kind of a desert area. But not everyone can move to a big plot and develop this uninhabitable land just like this and create something. We need affordable housing quickly. And for that, we don't have money. We do not have the state treasury to just build things and continue with that. So we knew that we needed to set up investment projects on housing. Remember, this is under the investment part of this argument. And what the guys did is they started Ganabos. Ganabos then investment-driven housing project. We knew if we could put down 100 apartments, Afrikaners will come. They will fill those apartments, and as they get better jobs, as they get opportunities, as the economy grows, they will move into. And every Afrikaner wants his own plot, his own house. So if we can just get them here, create that opportunity.
Also, though, it's not a housing camp, right? It's apartments where you pay for your apartment, you come and you live and you contribute actually to the economy. That's how the economy grows. So it's not a housing well, that's why it's on the investment. That's why you've put it on the investment. It's not a housing program to
it's not social housing.
It's not social housing, yeah, because we need to stimulate the economy. We were just talking about social welfare, and that would actually be social welfare. That would not be to the benefit of Oranians to create some sort of Afrikaner refugee camp. That will not create a future for our people. Absolutely. That will create more dependence. So just that little
100%, Frans. And I think the thing is, even our social housing in Orania, people need to contribute. Exactly. Even our social housing is based on free market ways of thinking to grow an economic model. But this specifically, 101 apartments, including bachelor flats, single bedroom and 2-bedroom housing in a nice block. And it was risky, but we got the investors. We promised them an ROI. And, this is you can see how it started. This is Ganabos when it was started. Really out there. If we had some more aerial photos back then, it was really out there in the Karoo semi-desert region. This is kind of digging the first parts of the foundation, very old equipment and so on. And this is Ganabos today. It's the best picture I quickly have gotten, could get, but it's 101 apartments and it's a proper place to stay. People can stay there with dignity. They have a nice project with Christmas lights and everything. There's a very nice culture. We do have some festivals in there in the square in the middle. Very nice place. That started as an investment-driven plan, and our investors get an ROI by the sum of their rental income. Next thing on the investment, I have a stable energy. Critical. For 3 reasons. You need stable energy to grow. Secondly, energy independence makes us less dependent on the state. And thirdly, if you don't create your own energy, the state will dictate the price of energy. Stable energy was the second one, Frans. I think critically important. We are not energy independent. So we also, I think, almost miraculously, it's almost like a Lazarus kind of situation. There's a term in the electrical world where they say we black started something. That's when you wake it up from the dead, kind of and sync it with the frequencies of the power grid. Now, Orasol was financially black started. They literally got investors. We knew we had to become energy independent or growingly energy independent. We knew we had to drive costs down, and it was almost black started from nothing. A tremendous project. And this is where Orasol started. It's one of the first pictures I got, just this bit of solar.
Starting in 2020, 2029.
Not 2029, but maybe 2019.
2019.
I think 2020 maybe.
around 2020, it started with, I think it was about that time, it started with the first solar farm, the first solar panels being set up, also through our own Afrikaner laborers, putting up our own solar farm, then expanding a little bit to a second phase of a second solar farm. This is this black start you're talking about. It's once again, instead of sitting and complaining and whining, even if it's just one solar panel, it's a step in the right direction, and it actually gives people hope. And then eventually buying a battery, which means the solar panels can charge the battery,
Yes.
and then Orania can be energy or more energy independent than most other towns or communities in South Africa. So that actually rescued Orania in a certain sense from South Africa's rolling blackouts. When that was still a thing, every now and again we had from stage 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think it went up to 8 at some point, which is just, it became the standard status quo of living, right? Okay, so when is your power going off today? We have a power outage for about 4 hours in the evening, and that's just normal. People were outraged in the beginning, and then they got used to it, and then you start to be glad when the power goes out for only 2 hours instead of 6 hours. Then you started thanking, the government or Eskom facilities, or things. Thank you, my power's only out for 2 days a week. So that actually saved Orania, because someone rolled up their sleeve and started the initiative of building something, and that takes faith in the first place.
It does take faith, Frans. There's no other way you can survive in Africa. Africa is maybe tough on the body, but it's good for the soul, because you know where your power is coming from, not only your electrical power. But exactly that. So the Orasol project is an investment-driven project, and investors still get, I think it's prime plus 0.75 or 1.2 or something. It's like 12% return on investment if you invest in our energy sector. And still small, still with its challenges and so on. We are very far from where we need to be. We still need to pay off massive amounts of our loans that we had to make this possible. But we managed to put down a 50 million rand battery. There's the start of that, and here's kind of the finished project of the second phase of the Orasol solar farm. So we're generating a significant amount of energy. More on that later. So that's the second thing: is stable energy. Investment driven. We're still paying up off those, and we need to expand it rapidly. I recently spoke, Frans, I spoke to the guys at the Orania Town Council, and they told me the brackets for the second battery is already mounted on like a foundation. We just need to fund that second battery as well. All right. So there's just an aerial shot of the Orasol solar farm. You guys can check that out. It's nice and green. That was in the summer. That's the second thing. Okay, economic development. I just quickly want to speak about the work building, France. You know that all too well. This is where we started. The idea is also to stimulate the economy. This is, as you can see, kind of at a desert area. This is where we started work building to create office space, to create residential space, kind of in a mix in our new town center that we're developing. So this is where we started. That was a bit later on. Here you can see on this side the first floors flooring being done, and we are about here now. This picture I think is maybe a month or two old, but there you can see some of the progress on the work building. Soon to be revealed the full extent of that project. So that's our friends at the Solidarity Movement and so on, guys, putting money into our economy. Wonderful project.
Buildings tend to be small monuments in Orania. Growing up in Orania, it's for me interesting to see these developments, seeing new buildings being built, new streets being built in places that was previously just semi-desert, just rocks. But then it becomes almost small monuments since we are doing it ourselves. So from the person designing the building to the person laying the bricks in that building, chances are good that you know them personally in some sort of way. You know the people, you know who lay those bricks. And like take the rugby fields that was built at one of our schools planted a while back, where some of the children in the school planted those rugby fields themselves. So not only can they enjoy the fields that they planted themselves, they can play on it themselves. When other people come here, they play on the rugby fields that these children planted themselves. And one day when they grow up, they can show their children those fields that you're playing on now. We planted them. And that is the case for almost every building in Orania right now. So this 3-story building that we are building, it's one of the biggest buildings ever built in Orania by ourselves. And to someone looking from the outside, it might look like just another building.
Mm-hmm.
But for us, it's a milestone. It's a start of something bigger, and we will always remember. The people who lay those bricks will always remember. Each time they go past that building on the street, they will remember that they were a part of that. It's a part of them.
Frans, speaking to our European friends, they said to you, and we're jealous of them, of their lovely cities, 800 years old. You've got this old monuments and these beautiful town squares and old churches, and we come there and we are an absolute envy about what they have there. And they are like, yeah, but we didn't build this. Our ancestors built. We're proud of this. We love this. What you guys are building something? You're crazy. You're building something in the desert. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe it's crazy. I don't know. Maybe it's faith. But I do think it's a privilege, to attempt something great or die trying.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I just want to quickly say I do take note of all of these super chats coming in. Thank you very much for that.
Nice.
There's a lot. We will have to do an extensive Q&A session after the presentation. But we are making a list, and our moderators are on that as well. So thank you very much.
Well, our moderators are normally, here for their technical expertise, but with the amount of super chats coming in, we're going to have our moderators bring us some more coffee, some strong filter coffee that we can get through that phase as well. Do you want to say something about infrastructure? So local taxes. So many of our supporters know that Orania, a significant amount of our hard-earned money and our little economy that we started from nothing is flowing to the South African government. It's flowing out of here: company tax, trust tax, tax on added value, income tax, everything. So in our case, we need to kind of double tax because our local government receives nothing back from the state. Do we whine about it?
Yes.
I want to say no, but it's not true. We do whine. We do whine about that a lot. I think it's one of the things Orania and his people whines about the most because it hurts to check your pay, to see your paycheck and see the amount of money going to the South African state and the corruption associated with that and the parties and the KFC and expensive whiskies and so on. We do see that. We do take note of that, but we cannot only whine. In this case, we whine and we build. So responsible government drives development of an economy, and we have sectors that we focus on, and services need to work. I think one of the things in the West, France, is that the Western governments are so focused on, gender affirming care and things like that, that they stop delivering services. That's also how South Africa died. It focused more on a political mission than its actual practical mission. A government must deliver services. So our local government, here's example, September versus March, building one of our roads. Sewage, this was a big project. The most essential infrastructure, often the least visible. I read somewhere, Frans, I don't know if you've gotten to that as well, somewhere in your reading, but I saw somewhere that the effect of plumbing on civilization was equally as great in terms of saving lives as the effect of the entire medical industry through ages. Yeah. Sanitation, hygiene, very important. This is where we started. I remember this very, very well in terms of building our new sewage farm. These guys were digging into this African soil. Just look at this picture, like 3-4 meters deep. It was a challenge. They started. You look at this guy, I think at this stage of this picture, he might have been a bit over it. But you have to continue. You have to build. That is kind of the second phase. Some of my good friends were involved there. You mentioned earlier how we know the people. Think of the architects just sitting here next door. What a privilege to have next to our office the architects, see what they are busy with, their plans and so on. But there's an aerial photo. Here's the team who actually did it. You can see those South African, Afrikaner shorts. The American guys know them all too well. Our people like a short trouser here in the African sun. And here is kind of the finished project, our oxidation dams, our sewage built here, no electricity required. One of our big projects that we are thankful for. There's an aerial shot, Frans.
I see someone here made a comment about how harsh the ground is in that one picture you just showed us. And that can sometimes be quite a challenge in developing in Orania. There are some challenges working with Afrikaner labor, it not being as readily available in South Africa. But then especially the environment as well. Also considering the construction materials and these things that need to be brought into Orania until we can industrialize and provide it ourselves. But then like digging the foundations and then just hitting like a rock bank. You know, I think people get so what would you say, depressed when they find out that, because that just extends the project. It makes it so much more expensive, and then once again to keep that mentality of, well, am I going to complain about this now?
Yes.
So I always say, like, even though like finding yourself in that kind of position, right? Even though realistically you are a victim, you're not allowed to ever accept that. You're never allowed to accept the mentality. Realistically, you are.
You will die.
You will die.
You will die if you accept it.
Exactly. So saying things like doing your own labor, or persevering and persisting and keep on rolling up your sleeves. These types of, as you repeat it over and over and over again, it tends to become romantic cliches. But when you have to deal with it on an everyday basis, it becomes, sweat and blood and tears. Then you realize what it means to do that.
And when it costs you money, one thing I can say, when we got here, there was no economy. And that was a true expensive thing. Not buying the abandoned town for 1.5 million rands. That was not expensive. Being expensive was moving to a place with no economy. If there's no economy, no circulation of money, no job opportunities, no business opportunities. And I think about those days, I don't know about you, but I know your parents well enough to know that I've never heard them complain about that. I never heard my parents complain about this. I never heard, the guys here in the studio back then in the 90s, Orania was harsh. Rich, successful people gave up lives elsewhere. They were academically successful. They were successful in business. They gave that up. They came to settle here. I never heard them complain about money, ever. And to some degree, they've lost a lot. They lost careers. They lost opportunities. They lost bonuses. I've never heard them complain. And we must keep that mentality. It's very easy in Orania. With that, we are still far behind in terms of economic development, and all of us can make better salaries elsewhere. It's not obviously why we're doing what we're doing, or have bigger cars or live more comfortable lives or whatnot. But this is not what Orania is about, and people must understand that you are sacrificing something for this goal.
Exactly.
But you're also winning and gaining a lot.
Yes, winning and gaining a lot. It's often more difficult to exactly put your pen on paper and say exactly what you're gaining, because it's abstract, it's cultural, it's freedom. But
you do feel it.
You feel it. You can live it. But putting it into words is sometimes harder. Just please continue with your presentation.
The next thing that drives development is plots. You need to have plots available. I don't know if you guys remember back in, I think, 2020 or 2021, we did kind of a review on some of the new plots we're servicing. And now that's paying off, driving down property prices. Sounds like a bad thing. It's a very good thing. It encourages settlement. So because of the development done of plots, we have a tremendous amount of housing available, places available, and so on. So this is in 1999. You can look at this area that I indicated with a red arrow. The availability of plots is an important investment in a project like this. Okay, this is 2022. It seems like it cuts off a bit on the screen. I'm not exactly sure why.
No. It shows
is it just the chat? Yeah. Okay, this is 2022. Development starting with the mission of creating more space for people. Now, Frans, I remember very well, and I know some of the guys who were involved there. We had to loan money to service these plots. It looks kind of nice there. It's summertime. In the winter, it looks horrific. It's dead Karoo area. Not dead, but, very harsh. And you have to build there and you have to put out plots. And you're not sure if someone's going to buy those. But you have to borrow a tremendous amount of money to start the development, to dig the channels, to dig to lay the electrical cable, to build the roads. And then you pray someone buys them.
Yeah.
If they don't buy them, you still have to pay your interest and your monthly payments. This is 2023, putting out the first plots there. And next slide's going to be today. Now, I want you guys to look at this. This is summertime. You can see some green. We had some good rains just before that. And you can see the outlines, the chalk outlines where we are, where we're building those houses. And not knowing if people are going to buy those. And if they buy it, we break even. If they don't buy it, we go under financially. It was literally kind of that situation. And here we are today. This is today on that exact same area. The white houses to your left-hand side of your screen is exactly where those chalk outlines were. There you can see those white houses there, guys. That is they all sold.
They actually sold, yeah. So creating more opportunities for people to stay in Orania, to come to Orania, and they did actually sell. So once again, that theme of building in faith, developing in faith, and like you just showed with these series of pictures, the actual semi-desert, the actual wildlife developing into a community. For me, it's almost crazy to think like these spots being felt for, or Karoo felt for bush for decades.
Harsh.
And now it's developing faster, not fast enough to my liking, but it's developing faster than we can ever have imagined. So and people actually living there where there was once nothing, creating their own gardens, creating their own lawns, children playing in these yards, going to school. There's life there now.
Absolutely, Frans. But having serviceable plots for people to stay on is critically important. You cannot grow if you can't take that risk. Okay, now I want to go to the final phase of raising capital. So I spoke about investment. I spoke about taxes. The levies that we get from our people in Orania to help fund projects like infrastructure projects. I want to go over to the final one, which is much more important than any other state or any other community that I know of, and that's our contributors. All right, donations, our friendship, our supporters, things that they have made possible, from Flemish supporters to Americans, French guys, Afrikaners living abroad in Dubai and many other places. Our Dutch friends, I'm not gonna mention any names from our guys in the United States, from our donors elsewhere. Donations played a significant role in crowdfunding our freedom attempt. It's just the Orania movement, the things that we can invest in, and I say invest not in the same sense invest with an ROI of getting money back like Orasol or like some of our public infrastructure projects. Invest in people. Invest in people. The Orania movement and our Help Each Other Fund, which is focused on getting kids to school that can't pay their own way, getting elderly taken care of. That's donations from our friends all around the world that makes that possible. And it's becoming a significant amount of what we can do in crowdfunding our freedom. And part of that is culture, Frans. Culture, I always say, it's more than the bread and water things. Bread and water would be roads. It would be sewage. You need to be able to open the tap and there's water. You need to be able to have your sewage taken away from your home for hygienic reasons, staying healthy, so on. You need to be able to drive on a road, whether it's Orania, still some part gravel roads, because it's okay. We need to focus on things growing our economy. But we're not here for roads. We are not here for taps that were open. We are not here just for having our electricity on. If we wanted all those things, we could have just gone elsewhere. We are here to build freedom. And freedom, who are you building it for? So culture is about more than bread and water, or in another sense, it's more than bread and circuses as well. But it's more than the bread and water things. I want to start with the Paul Kruger statue. All of you guys have been following it. In 2025, we did this big project. And I want to ask our American friends, who of you, or any other international friends watching, who of you have faced kind of these leftists, these communists breaking down your statues? Have you had something like that, destroying your heritage? France, obviously it's a big debate around the world.
Yeah, that's a thing happening in South Africa, certainly a lot. We see that a lot. Most of our heritage sites are still the responsibility of our government to be taken care of. And you often sit with a situation where it's not being serviced properly, or it's not being secured properly. And then it gets vandalized or things get stolen from our heritage sites. And now in the one case, the government isn't doing anything to fix it. And on the other hand, you're not allowed, because you're not the responsible entity or a responsible institution to help with that situation. So I know for a fact that it's happening in South Africa, especially to our heritage. It's an interesting question. I want to know if it's happening internationally to Western heritage. Does it happen in your country? Does it happen in your cities? Do you see that as well? But then we got faced with a question once again. what can we do about this problem? And I think Urania in this instance took a very interesting approach of, while we are trying to preserve our heritage sites in South Africa, because we will do that continually, there's no reason why we shouldn't create new ones. And that's what we did with the Paul Kruger monument here in Urania, which I'm sure you're going to speak about now a little bit more. But going with this whole theme of crowdfunding, which you actually started the presentation explaining how how it's you cannot go without it. It's a part of life. That is what will make crowdfunding is what will make Urania grow exponentially. That will create the next growth phase of Urania. We are now in a situation where I would say it's stable. We are a stable town. We're a stable community. Crowdfunding will drive Urania to grow exponentially.
Absolutely. That's the point. There's 2.5 million Afrikaners, maybe, if we're a bit ambitious, in South Africa. Having kind of the opportunity participating in an economy outside of Urania. There's about 2 million more that left South Africa around the world. If we just have Afrikaners around the world contributing to this project, please understand me correctly, I'm not saying anybody must or should, but if, because you are crowdfunding the banks, you are crowdfunding your governments, you're crowdfunding many, many other things. You're voting with your money more than, your votes on paper ever. If people were to contribute a small piece to this, what we could do for Afrikaners. And I think it's also relevant to the West, because the West is also facing kind of these attacks on monuments. The West is also facing the South Africanization of their own countries. Let South Africa be an example of what can happen to you. And if you want to contribute to this, or just watch, or just share our videos or whatever, you are in a certain sense participating. But going back to the monuments, I think, when I was at University of France, I've told this story before. We were young and very motivated students protecting some of the heritage that got attacked, statues on campus, and we would. All the men would hook their arms along one another, and with this Antifa-style crowds would come to break down the monuments. We would hook into one another, and we would stand firm. And for what? They just broke down the monuments when we were all on vacation. This is sustainable. I think we are one of the only communities when our monuments got broken down and destroyed, we made another one. Here's Paul Kruger, the EFF and their caricatures that go with them. Spray paints it with killer and things like kill the boer and all those kind of things. They vandalized it. The picture on the left is not that great, but they vandalized a 120 years old monument, breaking down history for a political cause. This is in Urania. The next slide here in Urania, as we move, we crowdfunded a new statue. It cost us 2.7 million rand. It was all crowdfunded. People buying bricks in this monument. There stands a monument built by our supporters. That's crowdfunding freedom. It's more than the bread and water things of infrastructure and roads and so on. This is to say, who are we building those roads for? That's our history. Religiously wise, Paul Kruger was known for his Christian religion and how firmly he believed. And politically, we are a Republican people. We stand for a republic. That's what we believe in. There he stands. This is when the statue was revealed in Orania, France. Look at the Orania flag waving there on the right-hand side. And then this next picture is him standing next to him. Guys, listen carefully. Next to him, we're going to build our city plane. Look at this picture. That's where we're going to build our city plane. We don't know a city square, yeah. Sorry, it's plain in Afrikaans. It's not going to be plain. It's going to be exciting. But our city square, we're going to build there. It's open field. We decided to put the statue there. When Uncle Paul will watch as we develop that square. We don't have the funds. We don't have the money, but we have the ambition, and we will build something there. With everyone contributing.
Yeah, here's the interesting thing about spending money on a statue, because there was some critics saying, why are you building a monument? Why are you directing funds towards a monument when there are other things that could be funded, like, let's say, more housing or plot development or things like that? Here's the irony. Creating or crowdfunding a monument is not taking funds from something else and directing it towards sculpture or a monument building. It's not this communist idea of there's only so much wealth in the world, and now we're taking a piece of that pie and allocating it to this. This is actually creating wealth. This is creating an opportunity for people to give something that would, or money or funds that would be in their pockets. Now they are giving it actively for something that they want to give it for.
That lives in their hearts.
That lives in their hearts. It's creating more wealth than there was previously. There's more value in that environment than there was previously. It didn't just sprung up, or it's not just a piece of the pie allocating towards it. It's a completely new a pie baked in the oven, and it's now waiting to have further development around it, creating more economic incentive, more tourism, more people coming here. So that's that for me. That's the beautiful, I want to say, success of crowdfunding is the idea that every project, every small project that is crowdfunded is actually creating wealth. It's creating new economic incentive in the community.
Well, there was an architect that got paid to
Exactly.
draw those plans. There was a construction team that did the earthworks. There was a construction team and the finest possible details who laid those bricks. And here's the key, France. We are crowdfunding it, but those are Afrikaners getting employed. It's not our money flowing to foreigners working as cheap as possible because we just want the job done. We're empowering our people with funds, crowdfunding. People wanted to preserve the statue as much as we did, so they funded it, our international friends and our local friends and Afrikaners around the world. They wanted to share in this project, and it was done by Afrikaners. So it's a circulation of monetary value in our own nationhood. Very important. Going on to the next thing is people, the central civilizational investment. If we had to do only one thing, it would have been this one. Now, there's many ways we do this. One of the ways is through the Help Each Other Fund at the Orania Movement, and thank you to all our international friends also contributing to that. I want to ask our moderators to put the link in the comments just for our donation link. This is not for anything other. Help Each Other Fund, if you choose that in the donation link, that goes to kids who can't pay their own way in school. That goes to the elderly, for which no one is caring, which we're trying to care. That goes for Afrikaner families that come into Orania destroyed by economic policies, who've lost everything. That goes to kids whose parents have abandoned them. That's where the Help Each Other Fund goes to, and also housing projects. So just want our moderators to put that in the chat, please. A donation link. If someone wants to invest in people, this is the way to do it. And we have a clean audit for I think the Help Each Other Fund started in 2004. All these years we've had clean audits. If people wanted to check that out, I think it's a worthwhile project. We spoke to some social workers recently, some of the families that come to Orania, going through deep waters in the ANC South Africa. But this is our central civilizational investments in our people, school funds, things like that. So investing in kids, investing in future. So it's also investment, but it's not a monetary investment. It's an investment in our people. One of the most important investments you can ever make. So I want to show that. I want to show we've been helping youngsters for a long time now, paying their own way. These are school children. It's just a general photo of one of our schools. Obviously, we will never ever publish specifically the people we are supporting, but do know that if you support the Help Each Other Fund, you are crowdfunding education for kids who can't afford it themselves. You're crowdfunding social care for people who come here broken, that needs to be helped. And you're crowdfunding things like for universities, tertiary training students. I do want to give a shout out right now to one of our American friends. I hope he's watching. I'm not gonna give more details, but he started an education fund here in Orania. We're going to open that for more supporters outside of Orania to invest in the Indian Sanderson Education Fund. Thank you for putting your hard-earned money into a project to help Afrikaners, help youngsters to incentivize education and make it possible for people to contribute in this manner as well, to receive training, to receive education. So thank you very much. I do believe he might be watching, and I'm very thankful for him and his family for what they've done. And then next thing is college students here in Orania. I want to not speak too much about this. So you can see one of the men's hostels. These are young Afrikaners learning technical skills here in Orania. These are the first years, France. coming in, having a lot of student traditions and things like that. We can speak about hours for that. I do know we are cutting through our time quite quick. So I want to continue to one of the last things, and that is sport. Sport is not to be underestimated. Play is not the most important thing in the world, but play is important. So school sport, I want to give a shout out as well to the guys at Orania CVO School, how they mobilized farmers, how they mobilized friends of the school to make proper school sport opportunities possible for kids in Orania. Started from almost nothing. Started back in 2014. It's 12 years ago. They started with a vision of creating sporting opportunities for youngsters. That we have a quota system in South Africa. Netball and rugby players, there's quotas in school. How many white, how many black, and so on. If you get selected for a team on school level, on provincial level, there's quotas on that. So we need to create our own sporting opportunities. Now, school sport here in the desert, a bit tough. But these guys at the Orania CVO School created a generational gift. These were this is an aerial shot of the open field where there was nothing, and they started with tennis courts and netball, which is a big sport in South Africa. Started with that and a dream. And the chairman of the school said, you are unwise if you don't believe in dreams, because dreams becomes true.
I remember that quote specifically. He said that he thinks that a person who does not dream is not a realist, because dreams do come true. But then once again, this is a person who do not only sit and dream all day. So he dreamt his dream, and then he
started working.
Action to his words. Yeah, exactly.
And there's a monument. Imagine looking back to these aerial photos where there's almost nothing and saying, I helped build something there.
Exactly.
I helped create opportunities where many kids will play. This is when they start with the earthworks. I believe it's about 2-3 years ago, France, where they started with the earthworks. Some of the farmers donating their tractors, donating their trucks, making these things possible, getting the earthworks done. 10,000 cubes of sand being driven in there. It's a tremendous amount of earth moving. Quite recently, we did cover the story quite extensively as well. These kids who planted the grass with the parents, with the teachers, with volunteers from the town, planting the grass for the sports fields for the next generation. What a beautiful story that was. And here's the finished project. Frans, I get goosebumps just watching this, because I know Orania didn't look like that. Oh, getting very, very good room service here. Thank you to our moderators who made us some nice and hot coffee here on this early morning.
Yes, on this picture you're showing right here, it's great to see the contrast between the yellow/red desert that was shown in the first pictures, and now the greenery that you can see. It's literally adding life to the semi-desert. And then seeing this picture and knowing that your hands was a part of that, I think that there's a symbolism in that.
Absolutely, Frans. Let's do a drone shot of that as well. Here you can see some of the business development. Guys, we're still, very much a small community, very far from everything. But now we're a small community far from everything, with sporting opportunities for the kids. And we're going to build more of that. There's still so much. There's still so many sports unexplored. There's so many things that we need to do to just create a good life for our people, where they can live in freedom. So there's a nice shot. There you can see the rugby fields. There's 3 rugby fields total. And you can see the netball courts and the tennis courts on the right-hand side of the screen. What a beautiful project. Shout out to the Orania CVO School and everyone who contributed financially, donations, giving equipment and time and so on. So there's just another shot of that. And then safety and security. I want to say we're still in Africa, Frans. We're still in Africa. Safety and security is important.
Are we safe in Orania, US? I've seen some of the comments as well, browsing through here. Asking about safety in South Africa, safety in Orania specifically. So, are we safe in Orania? Would you say that?
Well, we have some, I think, important strategies. We are never completely safe. We see the EFF, we see the government, we see kind of some of the hate that we receive. We also see, concerning rise and farm attacks in South Africa, the brutal murders that goes with that. Orania being the target of kind of a lot of hate.
Yeah,
For
certainly.
no apparent reason. We're not hurting anyone, but safety and security is important. Things like fires. Now, I want to tell the story quickly. We identified in our safety and security evaluation that fires is a risk, and we didn't have a fire truck. Now, if you know, Orania is like, you can go 100 miles in every direction, and there's barely any infrastructure. Just last weekend, our guys were at an accident scene where an ambulance took 3 hours to come to a bad accident. So if Orania didn't go, there wouldn't have been guys to cut out the people stuck in the vehicle out from that and so on. We didn't have a fire truck, but fire is a risk for Orania.
Yeah, the fire doesn't know that we don't have a fire truck.
Yeah, and doesn't care.
Yeah.
So we needed to buy a truck, but we didn't have the money. So we said, well, if we said it's a risk, we need to buy it. Frans, and you kind of took charge there, just raising funds, getting donors. Some people gave 50 rand, some people gave like 100,000 rand.
Yeah.
And contributed, not 100,000, but like 20,000.
Yeah.
And people contributed, and we were able to contribute to Orania Safety and Security to this fire truck. Nice and red, Orania's own fire truck. We put the names of the people who contributed on the truck, on the seats. Don't have a great photo of that just now, but that was a good project. And like a month later, one of our buildings in Kleingeluk caught on fire. We were able to put that out there. You can see the pictures from the start of the fire on the top left photo till the moment the guys were there. It was like 15 minutes. Managed to stop the fire with this fire truck. Crowd-funded freedom. Crowd-funded safety and security, Frans.
Crowdfunding saving lives. That's essentially what is happening with stories like this. Once again, it's a necessity. I made the joke about the fire doesn't know that we don't have a fire truck. The fire doesn't care if we don't have a fire truck. Talking about the accident just last weekend, when something is threatening your life in South Africa or in these rural areas, there's simply no waiting on the public sector to come help you, even though you pay your taxes, even though you're owed all of these types of things. We always talk about human rights. There's a human right to have water. Well, that right doesn't help you if you do not actually have water. So not having a fire truck, not having safety and security services is something that we can sit back and whine about, or we can create these things ourselves. Purchasing this fire truck, actually, at some point, our safety and security team bought the fire truck without already having the funds for that. But at some point we are going to have fires, and we need to be able to react to these emergencies. And then the people step up. The crowdfunding was successful. People stepped up, and we were able to essentially save businesses, save buildings with this fire truck.
Absolutely, Frans. I've got 2 more slides. And I want to give those 2 more slides because I want to have the guys in the comments. If you have questions on how Orania tries to crowdfund freedom, the mistakes we've made, the successes, our great friends internationally contributing, everyone that's helped us doing what we do, just the grace from the good Lord above, but also, the grace from our friends that's supporting us. Thank you very much for everyone. I want to go to the final slide of the presentation before kind of the end note, and this is just crowdfunding safety. I spoke about the fire truck. We also, Orania Safety and Security Services, registered and professional safety and security company, also provides a service. So on the one hand, you're taxed into oblivion in South Africa, and many people on social care. And then, those people come and then you must, double tax, because you still must create your own infrastructure on your farms and things, and on your roads and so on, where there's a lot of things getting this. And then the third tax is the crime tax that you have to pay. People come and take the productive value you added to the land, and they try to steal it, whether that be livestock, a very expensive copper cablement that gives electricity to the irrigation systems, which is worth hundreds of thousands of rands. And people come in the night and they take it. Orania Safety and Security Services, on a very, very small budget, are now operating in the area around us, providing a security service. That's crowdfunding safety as well, because people are contributing, making small contributions to be able to keep these guys out there, keep them equipped. They lay cold nights, they lay out there in the field waiting for livestock thieves, cable thieves. You don't know when they're coming. You got to be awake many nights, but sometime they are going to come. So thank you for the guys who've been contributing to to drones, contributing to just backpacks for the guys, boots, whatever, keeping them going. Also in the area, people actually paying a subscription fee to those support, and they have their successes. They make their arrest here. We have a case of thieves that were caught during the night. Just the fact that we could buy a thermal drone gives us that edge. It is not just your eyes in the dark versus my eyes in the dark. We've now got a small drone, but at least it can see in the night.
Yeah.
It's a major advantage, and we can stop stock theft in that way. That was the final thing that I wanted to say. So it was investment, it was taxes, it was donations. Thank you for everyone donating. The question, Frans, in my opinion, is civilization itself is a continuous crowdfunding campaign. Everything around you is paid either voluntarily, forcibly through taxes, or just kind of recurring through things like banking fees. Here in Orania, we are building a civilization. We are trying with everything in our power to arrange it in a manner that is sustainable by small contributions, whether it be our supporters, our members, our YouTube members, shout out to them, our guys making investments in our energy sector, our guys making investments in our kids by donating to the Help Each Other Fund, to the elderly, to the housing projects. Every one of you is helping crowdfunding civilization. We are building it. Will you join us? That's the question. Thank you for everyone. And not only with money, but also with ideas, with plans, with just structures. Everyone joining us. I do want to thank all of you for crowdfunding civilization with us.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. There you have the question as well. Will you join us? Yes, thank you very much for this presentation as well. I think it's a great overview of some of the projects that Orania has been successful with through different forms of crowdfunding. If you have enjoyed this presentation as well, let us know there in the comment section. We try to do this live stream specifically a little bit more theme based, and just this presentation that you have prepared for us was a great oversight, I think, with the videos and the photos as well. We are quite a lot over our scheduled time. I've seen these super chats counting down the chats to the goal, and right now they have reached the goal as well.
Oh,
so
beautiful.
Let me try to move my laptop into this space here, and then we can quickly go through the Q&A section, and then we are going to do the big book of challenges. There's a few
again.
challenges that we can do. These are, in a certain sense, intellectual challenges. It's debate style challenges. So we will maybe have a debate, maybe have a live video, let's say a TV kind of interview. But let's first of all start at Super Chat question number 1. And go through each person asking a question. Let me just see if I can actually open it correctly.
Some interesting comments here. It's my first opportunity after my rambling through this presentation. You guys must forgive me. It's the first time I have the opportunity to check out some comments as well. The super chats, some guy referring to the forced integration there in the United States. We have it in South Africa as well. It's the thing of the day all around the world. And in that, you have to make a choice. Do you choose culture, or do you choose, I think, the easiest economic road to some extent, and we are choosing culture.
The most comfortable road. Okay, so I have a colorful screen in front of me right now. Let's start at the top. First of all, Greg Adams, thank you for joining the membership. Thank you for becoming a small giant. The small giant is the symbol of Orania. He just joined as a member as well. Then, like I said previously, KJV Baptist, first donation of the stream. That was before the stream went live even. He donated 15 Australian dollars. So he might miss the show due to work, but he's here just in case. So thank you for that. Then World Paper Money Club, he joined as a member as well. And then KJV Baptist joined as a member as well. So thank you. These are people contributing monthly, actively contributing to the Orania movement, and getting some digital YouTube benefits for that as well as a thank you. Okay. Just SPPJ donated $5. He said, are you concerned about the possibility of the ANC or some other group coming in force to shut down or take over your settlement? I'm going to have you answer the question. I just want to say or add some more context, and that's the private property bill. Private property as a whole being an unsure thing in South Africa from time to time. The government actually signing bills saying they can expropriate your private property at null compensation, meaning you get constipated, you get compensated with a value of zero. Rand.
No, exactly. Yeah, we are very concerned. We are concerned that the ANC will destroy our lives, but we've been concerned from 1988 when the Orania movement was founded. So I always say, you've got many people who have, trying to scare you in many ways. Some of them are, you get preppers, I think, in the negative sense and in the positive sense. My test is always, if someone comes to you and they say, this is a problem, this is going to happen, whether that is like a nuclear attack or whether that is a pandemic or whether that's government taking your property or whatever, I always say, what are you doing about it? Because, heart attacks are also a risk. Are you going for a run? Well, we identified that heart attacks in government taking of property and things like that, and communist mindset were a risk, and we started a community. If you are concerned about your safety, are you doing and training things that that will help you stay alive? So yes, we are concerned. I don't think the ANC's got a lot of problems. I don't think they're going to come into Orania necessarily just now. What they might do is just constantly, and we see that strategy, constantly create doubt in people's minds. Just making a comment. The ANC is like a wounded buffalo, right? It's at its most dangerous because it's declining. But don't for 1 second think it's without power. It is still got the sword power of the state. It is still in some senses strong. It's just failing across the remote areas of its empire. So the ANC can still do things. The government can still do things, destroy projects, take people, whatever. So yes, we are concerned, and for that reason, and not only for that reason, but we also do things completely legally and inside the frame of the law. But we must remember, to challenge our opponents is not the same. We are a small minority in South Africa. So we are concerned, and that is why we're trying to build solutions. The government constantly creating doubt in people's minds. Is my investment safe if I move to Orania? What if the government comes and takes all of it? So in that sense, it's tough to develop anything because people are scared.
Yeah. I'll quickly add to that because we still have a lot of comments to go through. But a what if mentality is almost as dangerous as a victim mentality. A victim mentality is sitting in your situations, just asking, when will someone save me? When will someone help me? I hope it gets better. A what if mentality is just as dangerous, asking, yeah, but what if this happens? Yeah, but what if that happens? Oh, what if a meteor hits us? What if the dam wall breaks? What if this? So being concerned in a healthy way, having your eyes and ears on the ground, but also not letting that prohibit you from building. Then, excuse me if I don't pronounce every username correctly. Qatar said, God bless from a brother in Alabama. Sent $5. God bless you, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for that donation. We have Ruben. He donated $10. He said, anyway, to support Orania, I have donated to the statue, but perhaps invest in its banks, like you mentioned, even if there are small amounts to make you guys grow. Yes, and excitingly, there will be more investment opportunities as we are going forward. There are different ways to invest in Orania as well, even just contributing in the ways that you are currently contributing. We will be telling you guys about the new Orania project in about a month. I'm not allowed
exciting.
I'm not allowed to say too much about that right now, but watch our social media. But then there are ways, I'm not always sure how it works internationally, but there are ways to invest in Orania from outside of Orania and gain a financial advantage.
We are currently working on a economic development and investment office at the Orania Development Company. Those guys, we have a guy with a bit of knowledge on economics, and he's setting up some opportunities. We're going to look at property investments. Obviously, the energy sector, Orasol, that's an opportunity. That's more bigger investments because of the sheer scale and sheer cost and expenses. We sadly can't do really small investments there, but there's a very good ROI on energy. Still figuring it out to some extent internationally, because always the exchange rate could be a massive risk for us, and it could destroy our energy project if the rand goes to nothing and it's kind of falls. So that's kind of tough, but we are working on that.
Okay, so there you go. If you need more information, our contact details are in the links and in the links and our website as well, orania.co.za. Feel free to contact us for more information on that regard. Then Kirkland Red, are you two gentlemen hired or elected? How does Orania Corporation avoid BEE laws? Is there a certain threshold where you will no longer be able to avoid BEE? Can Outlanders rent commercial industrial space in Orania? And he said that with a donation of $20. So first of all, thank you very much for that.
Wow,
I'll answer the first part. We are both hired. We are not elected. And we work for the Orania movement, which is a company in Orania. We have members. So we are hired through the organization, but we service or we work for the members of the Orania movement. Yes. About just about more than 5,000 members who are monthly actively contributing to this organization to spread the message of Orania, to gain support for Orania, to have international liaison with our international friends and supporters. But yeah, we are both hired. This is part of our job.
Yeah. So yeah, we are officials. We are officials in the town setup. We are appointed by elected members. So there's the Orania movement's committee,
board of directors.
The board is actually appointed from kind of the bigger involved group, which is strategically giving us direction, and then the board is giving us like practical goals that we need to reach, or giving us strategic goals in that sense, and we are both appointees of that. So we are more on the practical side of things.
Okay, and then the question about BEE laws, which is Black Employee Empowerment laws in South Africa, that also comes back to quotas. BEE laws saying that if your business reaches a certain financial threshold, then a certain percentage of your business should be Black owned, which is also, every time I hear this, it's a difficult character type to describe or define. What does being Black actually mean? Is it just the color of your skin? Is it cultural? Is it heritage? Is it ethnicity? But the biggest example that you guys would know as well is something like Starlink. Elon Musk's Starlink not being allowed in South Africa. He's not allowed to operate in South Africa because Starlink is not Black enough. It's not Black owned enough. You're asking how does Orania how do we not have BEE in Orania? The practical answer right now would be that nobody really meets that threshold. But then the more theoretical answer would be, how do we avoid it in the future? Is there's often, with South African laws or a failing government, there's often a situation where certain laws exist, but is not really practically able to be, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not practically able to be enforced. So luckily we are not in a situation in Orania currently where there's the need for BEE laws to be enforced right now. But I guess that would be kind of a line to cross when we get to it.
Yeah, there's definitely many attempts, but there's also many solutions.
Yeah, let's leave it at that. Then HamX donated $5 asking, what are your thoughts of the return to the land movement in the US? They seem to be modeling on you. We actually had representatives from the return to the land movement visiting us here in Orania, learning from us. We certainly learn from them as well. We also, I follow them on social media. Always interesting to see what they are doing. I had a podcast with the ladies of the Return to the Land as well. I know you have done some interviews with them as well. So it's interesting to follow. It's a similar project, although not quite the same exactly. It's a similar project, and I see more and more of these types of projects all over the world. It's always interesting to learn from each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's different challenges, so there's different solutions. The situation of Afrikaners is in many ways different, but there's also similarities. And the main thing is that they are doing something. They are taking it upon themselves. You can whine and you can scream and you can do anything, but you need to crowdfund freedom. And the only way to do that is economically, but also practically through your labor and your efforts. If you're not busy with that, you're not busy with a solution. You're busy with short-term things. So those guys are doing something. They are putting their boots on the ground and building something. And that's the only way to go forward.
Actually starting. Then World Paper Money Club donated another $5 after joining as a member. And he said America is celebrating its 250th birthday this year. How does Orania protect and celebrate its history? Well, I guess we covered it a little bit in the presentation. We have what I would like to call cultural enrichment or new heritage development, where we are creating new monuments, new heritage sites, new things that are not only preserving our history and our heritage, but also creating new heritage, like Orania specific historical sites, which is very exciting. Orania this year celebrates its 35th birthday, which also for us is like a milestone. It's in a certain sense symbolic of completing the first generation of Orania. And we're looking forward to the Orania Carnival, which is approaching quite rapidly, actually.
Another thing that we do is, and I think the early guys of the American Revolution, Washington and Franklin and everyone involved, they obviously they did celebrate 4th of July, Declaration of Independence, but they went through the harsh times. It's actually their children and their children's children and many generations of Americans that came after them that really celebrated it. Hopefully what we can do here will be celebrated, and the grace of God that we could continue, and that the idea and the project did survive. It could be celebrated by our children's children. But I think the main thing is we are setting the stage for that by having our own cultural holidays, for example, our own calendar. We define ourselves. We define what holidays. We're not following the national holidays. We are following our own rules and our own public holidays for things that we all do. And I think that's pretty important.
Thank you for that question. Then we have one from Ryan. He donated $10 saying, South African here in Oklahoma, soon to be Dallas. Welcome to my American brothers and sisters watching, and thank you for the support. Ryan, thank you for the support, and thank you for tuning in there from America. Come visit us in Orania soon, and come to you. I suppose it's usually South Africans in America are usually farmers.
Yeah.
So,
I just want to, on that note, I want to say, guys, if you have super chatted or you made a donation and you want to give us an indication in the comments, what do you hope this goes for? Whether that be school funds for kids through the Help Each Other Fund, whether that be safety and security, whether that be the fire truck, whether that be infrastructure development in the city building fund, some of our efforts. Let us know, how you want it allocated, which project, care for the elderly and whatnot.
Then we have a donation here from KJV Baptist, proudly showing off that new membership badge next to his username, donating 14 Australian dollars, saying, maybe a harder question, but in what sense are Oranians divided or distinguished from one another? I.e. class, wealth, political, religious affiliation, born in Orania versus moved to Orania. Oranians are divided. Oranians are diverse. We might be Afrikaners, but a character type of the Afrikaner is that we are hard-headed. We want to do our own things all of the time. So, divided.
It reminds me of that Boer War quote, the Boers were fighting the British just as the Americans with, the War of Independence. But the thing with the Boers is the British had such a hard time fighting them, because while the British at that stage specifically followed the officers to almost religiously, the Boers did what the hell they wanted. And in a kind of similar effort against British forces, and these French officers and that army where kind of an officer was like the king and he could make all the rules and you better fall in. And the Boerwilla, the kind of French general that came to help us against the English, and he said he could not believe his eyes. The men are just saying no to the officers and saying, convince us that this is the best strategy, and they had like wild debates under a tree, and then they would everyone would get on their horses and they would ride to the battlefield and say, no, we're not going to do that here, we're going to do that. And, the English are marching, they're coming closer, and these guys are still discussing tactics. And then finally, one of the officers would convince them, and then they would. And Orania, Afrikaners in general, the same way. Yeah. Every Boer is their own general. Yeah. In that sense, we disagree on many things, but we do agree on freedom.
We agree on freedom. May disagree on the road to freedom, while agreeing on the road to freedom being Orania. So divided, but that also sets the standard. We keep each other in check. I think it's a very healthy way of living. Then World Paper Money gave another $5, also showing off his newly acquired membership badge, saying, some of us live in high crime cities like Los Angeles and Baltimore. How does Orania keep people safe and provide basic services? I think we covered that in the presentation as well. I don't know what the crime rates in Los Angeles and Baltimore is, but I can assure you it's most certainly higher in South Africa. Another way that we keep our people safe is simply being geographically I don't want to say isolated, but removed from bigger parts of South Africa. Orania is situated in a low population area, which means there is a much potential for us to expand, but also lower safety and security risks since we have more control of our own environment.
Demographics is destiny.
Demographics is destiny, and we chose a place where we can be a demographic majority. Then AJ Anderson gave $20. Said, top advice for American to create their own Orania in the States. What would be your top advice for American to create their own Orania in the States?
Start. You have to start. You can speak about it all day. You can dream about it all day. Most certainly, Professor Karel Boshoff and Dr. Chris Houston, the guys were not ready when this property came up for sale. And they had commissions and committees and everything that you can imagine, but they had the guts and the faith to start. And they bought this abandoned town. And as I said, many people got quite poor after it because of the fact that there was no economy, but they did start. Now it's 35 years later plus. And here we are. So they started. Start something. Start pooling resources to give. Start crowdfunding freedom.
Exactly.
Whether that's just educating kids, creating schooling opportunities for children, just start something. You have to start something.
Thank you, Joost. I think I don't have anything to add to that. Then Wolraad Woltemare, what a great username. He gave us he donated 1,400 South African rands, and he said in Afrikaans, ek is optimisties vir Orania, ek is tans in die FSA en hoop om graag eendag daar te kan belê. Handhaaf julle nog keuringsproses. Ek vrees wel net dat die ANC sal aanhou tot hulle sin kry om julle in te vaar. Al daai bloed, sweet en trane tot stof. As hulle hande op enigiets sit. Basically saying that he's very optimistic about Orania. He's currently in the USA. He actually wants to invest in Orania at some point. And he's asking about our right of residency process. So yes, Orania does have a right of residency process for several reasons. That also contributes to the safety and security of Orania. Certainly people are in a certain sense vetted to see that they are not, fleeing, or they don't have an extensive criminal record. They are not a risk for our community. But then also ensuring that Afrikaners actually, or Orania actually stays a home for Afrikaners. So yes, we still have that residency process, and we will keep that because we want to be an Afrikaner town.
We can't sacrifice that.
Yeah,
we cannot sacrifice that. We can't, criminal elements constantly trying to stream into Orania as well. We've got people coming here with drug problems, people with criminal histories trying to come in. We have the vetting process. Sometimes these guys even get to hide their futures. The failures of the South African state to probably prosecute and get those records allocated, they slip through the cracks. We also have chances trying to come in here, so we need to vet people for criminal. We need to make sure that they're culturally aligned with us, otherwise our dream is dead. And I always say, even a communist wants good schooling for his kids, even a communist wants good roads and financial advancement in life. So people will sacrifice everything that we have built and through the grace from above have gotten just for an opportunity to cash in on some of the little bit of success. So we need to make sure people are aligned with what we're doing.
Thank you for that. Then World Paper Money Club gave another $5. Thank you very much. Donating a lot today. Good jobs are hard to find even in Los Angeles. What jobs, services and opportunities has Orania created in such a remote area? I want to answer this question in two ways. First of all, jobs are not created as much as jobs are accepted in Orania. There's always something to do. There's always something to be done in Orania. And in that same sense, there is no, I want to say, Orania creating jobs. There are individuals in Orania creating jobs.
Free enterprise, free market system.
People come here, entrepreneurs come here, they start their businesses, and they are the ones actually creating the jobs. So there are no like there's a municipality with jobs available, but there's no like governing job creation structure of Orania. We have a free market system. as our economy grows, as more people are moving to Orania, more jobs are created. And then there are different types of jobs. Mainly, one of our major sectors right now is development, construction, those types of things.
Tourism.
Tourism is very, very big. People visit Orania. People come stay over in our guest houses and eat at our restaurants. Then there's small, what do you call it? Small businesses, entrepreneurs
Retail.
starting their own businesses, retail, small services, hair salons, and things like that. And then this is always what job services and opportunities. Answering what opportunities there is or there are is often a difficult question to answer because the world's your canvas.
In the beginning of my presentation, I wanted to use the Henry Ford quote. Henry Ford famously said he asked his investors to invest in the Ford Model T, and the guy said, "Did you did market research?" He said no, and they wanted to fall on their backs. How on earth can you start a project, get investors if you do not have proper market research? He said, if I asked the people what they wanted, would want me to breed faster horses. Orania is not in the business of breeding faster horses. We are designing something new. We are imagining the motor car when everyone is still stuck with faster horses or horses that uses less hay. We are not breeding new horses. We are building a car. We need to travel faster into freedom, and that's why crowdfunding is also so important. Yet again, thank you for everyone donating tonight on the stream as well. That makes it possible for us to get some more space and some more momentum in this sense, and take on projects in our community and developing the car a bit faster.
So thank you very much for that. I see here Volraad Woltemaat donated another 1,400 South African rands. Once again in Afrikaans, I'm going to read it and then I'll translate. Joost, vertel net vir die Amerikaners hoe homogene Orania sukkel nie met misdaad nie. Hulle probleme het gekom met geforseerde integrasie, verwysend na Amerika heel waarskynlik, en soveel kan of wil dit nie raak sien nie. Op jou punt hier in die VSA, die linkses kan nie opbou nie, diversity ruined beautiful America. Basically saying or asking Joost to tell the Americans how a homogeneous Orania does not struggle with criminality. And then showing or referring to the problems with forced integration. Now, this is not completely true though, because we do have people testing the rules and regulations. We do have criminals in Orania, and we do have like in any other community. That's why we have safety and security, for instance, to police and keep the law and order in our town.
I want to say we only have criminals in Orania as long as we can't find them. People try to beat the system. It's very interesting. When it was just a pioneering community, there was not a lot of criminals being interested. But now that we've created something, that we have, a place and some jobs, these buggers are coming, these bastards are coming in and trying to bring their crime with them. Suddenly, we must, cater for every human right and everything and every lifestyle choice. People are testing our system, trying to come in. Obviously, because we've had some small successes. And as I said, even a communist, even someone who totally disagree with our Christian values would want to come in because things are going a bit better. So we're in an interesting phase now where we have to manage these things. They are trying to come in and to test our system and so on. But we must manage them through the right to residency program and through our safety and security and all those efforts. We must continue to keep Orania safe. But surely it's better off, and we must have that voluntary choice of choosing for ourselves how our society looks. If there's forced integration, it's voluntary, not isolation in the economic sense, but protection of something that we deem, almost holy.
Yeah,
we are created as Afrikaners, and it's something worth protecting.
So which is true, or something that is true though, is that Orania is much safer than many other places in South Africa, and that is due to our vetting process, our professional teams at safety and security, but then also, as you have mentioned, being a homogeneous Afrikaner community. And that's simply because you don't want to steal from your neighbor when you're both here for the same goal, which is freedom. But then we do get people trying to beat the system or trying to leech off the success of hard-working, honest Afrikaners, and then we deal with them as needed. I see Volraad Woltemaat also gave another 35 rands without a comment. That was probably to push us closer to the goal. I see Rian gave another $10, saying one more. That was when we were just one more away from the goal. And then Volrad Voltemade gave another 35 rands, pushing us over that goal.
Come on, France, we must do that challenge.
So before we do the challenge, let's just finish up with the super chats, because there came a few more. $50 from World Paper Money Club, without a comment. So just simple donation. Thank you very much for that. I see Taylor. Yeah, Taylor, he joined as a member as well. He became a small giant, a klein reus. So thank you very much for that. Now proudly displaying his badge next to his username. I see Volrad Voltemade is giving a shout-out groete on my vriendin Jolise in Orania. Jolise, shout-out from Volrad Voltemade here in Orania. Thank you for that. I see KJV Baptist certainly did not go to work today.
Nice.
Thank you for that. Another 7 or 8 Australian dollars. I can probably say as well, he's a guy from Australia. He visited us in Urania as well. It was very nice to meet you. Always in our streams, always donating. Now a member as well. So thank you very much. He says USA has a refugee program for Afrikaners. Is there an inverse refugee program for Americans blessed with diversity looking to move to Urania? Just joking.
We're not on the refugee business, my friend. We're on the standing and building business. No shade to the guys who are taking up that option where things are very tough in South Africa and you have to provide for your family and provide the security and so on. But as long as we're safe to do that, we're going to stand and build, and we want people to join who will stand and build.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think to end off this stream, because we have gone way over the time that we wanted to go. We are going to end it off with the challenge. We have reached our goal. Thank you very, very much for that. We have actually exceeded our goal. So you guys have a choice between 1 and 30. So
let us know in the comments.
Let us know in the comments. You have to post a number or put up a number between 1 and 30. I have 30 challenges here. As I said, these are debate style, or I wouldn't say intellectual style challenges. And then the one that gets the most comments, the number that gets the most comments, I will pull up a challenge from the big book of challenges.
While you're doing that, I want to hear, guys, still watching. Where are you watching from? Are you still in the United States? Have those guys gone to sleep? Let us know where you are watching from right now. Just give it in the comments. And then, what was the 2 numbers, France, that they have to choose for the challenges?
1 and 30.
Between 1 and 30. Oh, any number between 1 and 30.
Any number between 1 and 30.
They've got from the number 1, just post in the comments 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, on to 30. The one with the most comments wins. And then we will see. Let's give it a minute or two. Free Orania from Texas with love. From the Orange River to the Western Cape Sea, Orania will be free. Something like that. Thank you very much for our Texas friends. We do appreciate you guys. We've been to Texas last year. Great people. Very much like the Afrikaner, I'd say.
Okay, I'm seeing 7, I'm seeing 11, 13, 15, 17, 14, 13, 14, 12 for the 12 tribes of God's chosen people watching from Bonero Park. New Zealand, there's a 1. 12. Okay,
12,
so
let's get a few 12s, we've got a few 13s.
lucky
We've got a
number
few
13.
7s.
Can we
We've
get
got
Mel
another
Gibson to
12,
help your
1, 2,
community?
3, 12. 3, 4 12s. Okay, let's get 12 as one of the options.
Just tuning in now, I'm 1 hour, 30 minutes back, interested in what you guys have to say. You are going to be in for an interesting discussion and a good presentation.
I thought we had many 12s, but it's Veronica Rousseau commenting 12 3 times. 4 times now.
Veronica is feeling strong about that number.
She's feeling strong about 12. Okay, let's see, guys. Maybe you must give a few options from the comments that came in, France, so that we can narrow it down between 2 or 3 options.
Okay, so yeah, let's say the main options right now is 7, 14, 13, and 12.
Quickly, one of those options, 7, 14, 13, 12. 1 comment per person, just for a second, guys. Let's see, so that we can do a challenge.
Yeah.
You guys earned it. You donated very, very nicely for Orania, and you are helping crowdfunding freedom. So thank you very much. If there's still guys who want to make a donation, there's also a donation link to our website. Thank you for everyone contributing. These donations will be spent to help crowdfund Orania, whether it's investment in the people, in the projects, in our safety and security. Thank you very, very much.
Right now it is 20 to 7 a.m. in Orania, and I can just about through the window see the traffic starting to line up, more cars going by, people waking up, starting to go to work. So Orania is waking up right now as well. And it should be probably around 11 p.m. in the USA right now, different time zones, of course. Okay, I'm seeing 12 again. I'm seeing 14, 14, 13, 13. I think we are going to have to make a choice.
Okay, Frans, it's on you.
Let's do, and I do not know what the challenges are, but I'm seeing 14 the most from different people. Obviously 12 is way up there, but it's only one person. So I'm seeing 14 the most, so we are going to pull from the big book of challenges. Challenge number 14.
Let's see what we got.
And challenge number 14 is not going to work for a final challenge. And that is because challenge 14 is the forbidden word.
Oh no.
You may not say community for the next 3 minutes. If you do, you lose your seat for 5 minutes. Now that would have been interesting if we done this challenge during the presentation, not being able to say the word community. I think we're going to pull a different one because we are not going to be talking about the community as much anymore. So let's go then to challenge 13, which is the second one I see the most asked. Okay, yes, this is going to be a difficult one.
Oh no.
Explain it to a child. Explain Orania is as if you are talking to a 10-year-old child. So what I'm going to ask the chat to do is post a question about Orania, a difficult question, a controversial question even. And then US is going to have a chance to explain it, to answer the question as if he's answering the question to a child. And then I'm going to do a different one. And then we're going to vote on who did it the best. So
let's see, guys. What do you want to know about Orania that we can explain to you like we're speaking to a 5-year-old? That's the question. Or maybe a 12-year-old. Then the people who voted for 12.
Veronica saying, I told you 12 is the one after the failed attempt on challenge 14. Yeah, Veronica, you might be right. I'm curious about what 12 is, but we'll leave 12 for the next live stream.
Right, let's see some questions, ladies and gents. Final minutes of this live stream. We need to see some questions. Let's go. What do you want to know about Orania? How does one build its own Orania? Okay.
That's the first option. How does one build its own Orania? Why no black Africans in Orania? That can be a difficult one to answer as well, as if you're answering to a child. Do you earn labor? How do you secure food security for a community?
Okay, let's start from the top.
Okay.
How does one build its own Orania? You're going to time me?
Yes.
How much time do we have?
Let's say a minute. Let me just get my app on.
So get that timer going. 1 minute. Ready when you are, Frans?
3, 2. So you are doing. How do you start your own Orania?
Yeah, let's start.
And go.
Why do you need an Orania? Well, there are some toys. Some toys are yours. Some toys are other kids. But if you want to have a place where your toys are safe, the toys that you hold precious, that your mother and your father gave you, you need to create a space where you can care for your own toys and look after them. For that, there needs to be someone who put the toys in the box when they are laying around. There needs to be someone who cleans and so on. And if you do not do that, if you don't start with taking responsibility for the things that you hold dear in life, someone else will take those toys. So where to start? Well, start by picking up the things and carefully keeping them placed where they cannot be stolen or hurt. And that's how you start, by taking responsibility for that small square of the things that you hold dear. That's how you start.
Okay, so if there are any 10-year-olds in the chat, you now know how to protect your own toys. Okay, I think you need to give yours a ranking out of 10 for that attempt, and then yours I will do the same thing for a different question. Now the toy line has been taken, so maybe I'll have to go with sweets. I don't know. Let's see what was some of the other questions. Do you own labor? How do you secure food security? Does Orania not have a dentist? It looks like it needs one. Okay? Wow. Why can my friend's father build a house in weeks, but Orania it takes forever? Why do we live in Orania instead of moving somewhere else? That might be a good one. I think that's the one I'm going to do.
Shouldn't I pick one for you, Frans?
Okay, that's more fair as well.
I think let's challenge you a bit. Why can my friend's father build a house in weeks, but in Orania it takes forever?
Okay,
Are you ready?
I'm not ready at all.
Frans is ready. I know he's ready. He's going to give it its all about construction, explaining it like he's speaking to a 5-year-old. Are you ready? Let's go.
So things take time, right? Houses are not just built. We need people to build houses. We need money to build houses. We need actual hands laying the bricks. Now, if your father builds a house outside of Orania and he gets lots of different people to help him build a house very cheaply, it would be much faster. The problem, however, would be that house would not necessarily be as impactful or as meaningful, or even though as much his house as the house we are building in Orania through our own people. So let's say we then have less people building the same building. It's going to take longer. However, it's going to be our building. You can think, if you stack your Legos, is it more fun for you to build your own Lego house or to watch someone building their Lego house? 8 seconds left.
Yeah, and that is time. Frans,
that was my attempt.
Let's see in the comments, guys. Show Frans some love. Show him some... oh no, here goes the timer. He's playing a tune for us. Just show Frans how we appreciate his house building efforts. And
Veronica asking, do you guys even have children?
We're not good at explaining, but because we have such a mature audience, I think that's the problem.
Very obviously, we do not. I see US getting a 10 out of 10, a 10 out of 10, a 9 out of 10. So give your ranking for me as well. We might declare a winner for this one. This is a difficult challenge, and I think it would be easier when I'm not talking to a camera, but when I'm talking to an actual child giving me some confused eyebrows, then I will know I need to explain it a little bit better. 10 out of 10 on both, so thank you very much for that.
You guys must remember it's 1 hour 45 minutes into the stream. Our capacity to speak to children has significantly declined, but we still like you guys very much. Acceptable response. 10 out of 10 for both. Thank you very much. A 9, a 9, and a 10. What on earth? Okay, we wanted to. Good morning from a Hollander in Hungary. Thank you very much.
I'm getting hungry right now.
I'm getting very hungry
for breakfast.
10 out of 10. France, the people are really showing us some love there. Thank you guys.
So we started this live stream saying that this is also a learning curve for us, starting live streams, doing more and more videos, more content. We now have 2 cameras as well, which also crowdfunded through people supporting us at the Orania movement. So thank you for your feedback. It's always fun to have these interactions, which is better than social media or videos or writing newsletters. This is actual direct communication and getting live feedback from you guys. And we would like to do this more and more and more. We have done this one especially for our friends in America and our international friends, considering time zones as well, doing it in English. But for our Afrikaners watching, we will do more live streams in Afrikaans as well. Because it's always nice to be able to sit here and talk with you guys.
Guys, thank you for tuning in. If you're watching this after the stream has ended, do also post, please, from where you're watching, that we've going to get a kind of idea where our supporters are. If you're watching from the States or from Australia, from Europe or from South Africa, or wherever you are in the world, thank you for your support for Orania. France, I think it's time to land this plane.
Yes.
I think it's time.
We have been going for almost 2 hours. We were planning on doing a stream for an hour. But I think through the presentation, which was quite comprehensive, through all of the donations and the super chats, all of the questions, I know there will be more questions, but we will do another live stream in the future as well. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for the guys behind the screens, waking up early, coming in and setting everything up. And we will see you in the next live stream. Remember to follow us on YouTube. We will be posting another video today. Interesting conversation about research done on Orania, so that video will be available later today. Also follow us on social media. There's big projects coming up, so this is not goodbye, this is just extended goodbye, I guess.
Yes, see you guys soon. And finally, everything worthwhile is crowdfunded. Think very, very carefully. of where your crowdfunding contributions are going to. Is it building your freedom? Is it building Afrikaner freedom? Or what are you busy with?